Welcome to the Rivalz podcast, the podcast where two friends who are fans of rival teams talk about sports. We're your hosts, Drew and Noah, and today we're going to be doing our 2021 NFL mock draft, our 1.0, and we'll be doing maybe another one of these sometime in the future, maybe the one with trades. We don't know. We'll do a few of them before the official draft. But so we told you our introduction. We'll do our top 10 prospects in our opinion, and then we have our mock draft. And once again, it's without trades, so...
Yeah, this is just saying that everything... This is just the first round, by the way?
Obviously, there'll be at least one trade. There always is, but...
But this is just like, base if nothing happened, which is very unlikely.
So, and then here, we have... So, that's where we go to our prospects. After our schedule, we have our first one, which is our top 10 prospects, and arguably the best prospect ever, other than Andrew Luck, or probably Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
there's no doubt in anyone's mind that he is the best prospect.
Yeah.
Say about it, and then you obviously see our next few. We got Jamar Chase, Wilson, all those up there.
Yeah.
Round up our top 5.
Yeah, so, Jamar Chase and Zach Wilson, both.
So, and then you'll see not too many names that you're not shocked about. I'd say the only one in our mind that people would put as a good player in the draft, a good college player, but not like stud that we see, is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I've personally been able to see him play in person at Notre Dame, but he's just a stud. I'd call him the best linebacker in the draft. Personally,
yeah, he's just
from my experiences watching him on TV and in person. But him and Parsons, it's a close call between them. But I think he's very underrated as a college star. But so that's not like the top 10 order we'll put it in, but those are definitely the top 10 prospects in our mind.
Yeah, so let's get straight into the mock draft. So, we're going to be doing the first 10 picks as like a description of each player, and then after that we'll just kind of go over it.
So the first pick in the NFL draft, we think the Jaguars will take Trevor Lawrence.
Well, I think it's...
we know.
Yeah. So here is his stats real quick. He had 90 touchdowns. And this is like throughout his entire college career, and that's 90 touchdowns. That's like insane. 10,098 yards, amazing. 66% completion percentage, and he only lost 2 games his entire career in college, which is
that was insane. And his 2 losses happened to come in the college football playoff.
Yeah. Clemson has just been pretty dominant these past few years. Sometimes, they haven't been always winning, but
definitely really good ever since he took over.
Yeah, Alabama and Clemson just.
And then we'll do a little bit of the pick summary, but it's more to read for everyone. But so obviously he was a stud, for his first game, but then suddenly all of a sudden, he did struggle a little bit, because if you're at Clemson and you're the best player on the team, obviously you're going to try and do a little bit too much and try and carry the team.
You got to live up to the hype, basically. So
yeah, and then he started making mistakes under pressure in huge games. He was still winning, but still made tough mistakes against LSU, Alabama, other teams. But that you can't erase the fact he is the best player in the draft. He has the speed and the arm strength.
Yeah, you're seeing the younger generation of quarterbacks now are all have that ability to get out of the pocket and scramble, and they're fast. So he has that asset to his game, and I think on the Jaguars recently signed Marvin Jones, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
And that would be a great asset, just a good duo, and so, yeah, that's Trevor Lawrence.
Definitely Jaguars. Urban Meyer, he could change the Jaguars' whole franchise. So, With the second pick in the NFL draft, in our eyes, we have the Jets, who didn't know how to tank right at the end of the year, taking Zach Wilson. And this is kind of up for debate between him and Justin Fields. But at the end of the day, I do think Justin Fields, as a college player, like his just statistics and all that, he's a better player in college than Zach Wilson. But then you have to put it, if all these players were on a team, a different team, would they still be good? And if you line up Zach Wilson, who was not on a great team in his 2 years in college, and he still was a stud.
Yeah, Zach Wilson, even though Justin Fields is probably projected by a lot of mock drafts to be number 2, we just think Zach Wilson will be we think he's a lot more consistent, if he was on a team like the Jets, he could still somewhat perform for them. You look at his stats: 56 touchdowns, 7,652 yards, 67% completion percentage, and 25-13 in college. You can see obviously a lot more losses.
That's a BYU team who was average, and then he comes along, and he was a Heisman candidate at the beginning of the season, but
25-13 is still a decent record, but
he looks like he's a 10-year-old, but he's definitely a star. I'd say his biggest strength, he has his big arm, so he can also extend plays, and it's not like quarterbacks who extend plays, but then they can only throw it 15 yards. He extends plays, and he can throw it bombs after he extends the play.
Yeah, and Trevor Lawrence, you can obviously see the difference in their stats, but I still think Zach Wilson is a really decent, just really good quarterback that the Jets can have and build their future on. Maybe try and trade Sam Darnold or get rid of him for some picks or something. So, moving on to the third pick in the NFL draft.
Another, I'd say, possibly debatable in the last few days, because Dolphins picked up Will Fuller, but I still think with the third pick, Dolphins should pick Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase has had some experience in college at LSU. Teammates with Justin Jefferson, who was a stud last year, coming out of the draft as a rookie for my Minnesota Vikings. Jamar Chase he's a really great wide receiver. Probably do you think the best? I think the best in the draft, right?
I'd say he's the best receiver in the draft, no doubt, because despite him even opting out, you look at him, he was good, and it's not people all over Twitter and all ESPN. It's all Chase was only good. He had Joe Burrow. His one good season, he had Joe Burrow. It's partially true that it probably helped, but then you look at his stats after the catch. He has incredible talent. Joe Burrow wasn't perfect at LSU, and he made some pretty bad throws that Chase went up and grabbed.
Yeah, and Justin Jefferson also played with Joe Burrow, and you saw how that
definitely.
You saw how that turned out as well.
So
don't sleep on these wide receivers from LSU, man. He could really do something in Miami.
If you think that Justin Jefferson is good, if you look at Jamar Chase could be even better.
Yeah, he was considered better than Justin Jefferson in college. Justin Jefferson wasn't their number one receiver. He was. So he opted for one more year of college, and now we think he's going to be the number 3 pick in the draft. So
right decision, possibly.
Yeah.
So moving on to our fourth pick here, Dot. You take it away here.
Yeah, and the fourth pick in the NFL draft, mock draft. This could be a little controversial as we talked about Zach Wilson, but Justin Fields going to Atlanta. Atlanta's needed someone to replace Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, ever since 28-3, he's been pretty bad. He's had his games. He's had his games that he can look like the Matt Ryan was super great, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but ever since then, he's just been I don't know. And it looks like Atlanta's trying to, get a new young quarterback for Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and everyone. So that quarterback we think could be Justin Fields. Justin Fields, he's been a good quarterback his entire college career. He's like, we compared him to, if you want to read the pick summary, we compared him to Russell Wilson, as he has that ability to get out of the pocket and make that throw on the run, create something out of a play that falls apart. So, yeah, I just think he's been just he could be a really great asset to Atlanta. Still repping the same colors if you want there too.
Yeah, and if you're thinking like, why isn't Zach Wilson and Fields flip-flopped? Well, if you look at Justin Fields, we said before, if he wasn't on Ohio State, would he still be good? Because he had a really good receiving core and a really good coach. But
I mean, we think he would be good.
His injury did put him back a little, but not much at all. I still think he'll be good, possibly better than Wilson. But I see the Jets, based on their franchise, like past picks, I see Zach Wilson more over than Fields, and I see the Falcons like Fields would fit their playset and all that perfectly.
Yeah, just a great replacement for Matt Ryan, and you look at his stats, just crazy good stats. Also only lost 2 games.
And also, there's the thing, like, Julio Jones could be leaving. If you really, want to keep Julio Jones, what's the best thing to do? Get a really young quarterback who could possibly keep Julio Jones in Atlanta and past him and have the great receiving core.
Yeah, so that's our
Justin
pick
Fields.
For Justin Fields. And with the 5th pick in the NFL draft, we have Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell. He's going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati desperately needs an O-line. They drafted Joe Burrow last season, and he got injured, and that was pretty much because
of
their O-line. They're lacking at that position. So they really need to get an O-line. This is just a great start. Probably the best O-lineman in college football. And
no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. Coming out from Oregon. Oregon also produced Justin Herbert.
Yeah, and if you look at Justin Herbert, just part of the reason Justin Herbert was so good, like looking at the tapes of Penei Sewell,
was because
Sewell, he's a huge lineman and he still possesses speed.
Yeah, he's very agile for an lineman, and he would be once Joe Burrow comes back. And if they can just get maybe a few signings for a decent lineman, make a few trades,
And he definitely has the quick feet. Something I would say he struggles with a little bit that could cause problems for Joe Burrow is like power rushers. And you're in a division with T.J. Watt and Calais Campbell and possibly never mind, he recently signed, but you're in a division with Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt, and Calais Campbell. You need to have their power rushers, and you need
the top of the top.
So you need to step up, but he's definitely the best lineman in the draft. This is perfect.
Yeah. So this is just a perfect fit for the Bengals, and so not too much to say.
Our 6th pick, we picked with the Eagles. I'd say they take Kyle Pitts 6th overall, but many people would say no way. I could argue that as well. But Kyle Pitts is a tight end, and that's why people are like, oh, tight end. You can't take a tight end 6th overall. You already have Dallas Goedert, who's pretty good, and Ertz is leaving. That's the point. If Ertz is leaving and Alshon Jeffrey isn't great anymore, and you let go of Deshaun Jackson, this is the perfect pick because Kyle Pitts may be a tight end, but that's just he's a receiver who has tight end blocking, basically.
Yeah, just Kyle Pitts is they don't really have very many they don't have any receivers that are good at all for the Eagles.
Oh, no, they're one of the worst now.
To have that double tight end set, I don't know, it's crazy.
It would be so good. And you have Jalen Hurts if you want to have him.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. They have that QB situation going on. Jalen Hurts, this could be a great target for him. Dallas Goedert has been playing well. Once Zach Ertz leaves, they kind of have to hit rebuild mode a little bit. But they just recently, as of recording this, signed Anthony Harris from the Vikings, and they're already adding to their defense. Their defense is getting better. If you add this asset to their offense, they can maybe be a little better than last year.
So Kyle Pitts going to the Eagles in our mock draft. And, yeah, next pick, we have with the 7th pick, the Lions taking Jalen Waddle. So if Jamar Chase isn't in the draft, I think Jalen Waddle is the best receiver in college football.
Yeah.
He had a bad injury this year with his hamstring, but his speed is what kills defenses. You can't keep up with him, and he doesn't have like the best catching, but he can definitely still catch a little bit.
Yeah. So Jalen Waddle just really they had Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle on Alabama, and just great. I don't know. He was just a really great for Detroit. Detroit obviously needs help at the wide receiver position as they just lost Marvin Jones and
Galladay. So I don't even know who's their best receiver now.
Yeah, so Jalen Waddle would. They just got Jared Goff, pretty young. They got Okuda, on the corners. On the defensive side, who's pretty young. They're in full rebuild mode right now, and this could be one of your wide receivers for the future.
Yeah, so Jalen Waddle would be a great fit for Detroit. Goff potentially be better than he has been the last few years, and he could be great, in fact, with Waddle.
Yeah, if you want to build that connection strongly, and
he's the perfect slot receiver because and also you have some of those older guys like Mohamed Sanu. If you re-sign him, that would be huge because then he's like a receiver who can play the outside really well. He's losing his touch, but he can definitely still play the outside really well. But it would be the perfect fit for Detroit.
Yeah.
So our 8th pick in the draft, the Carolina Panthers, we see taking Trey Lance. And no doubt in our minds because Trey Lance is highly underrated in the draft.
Yeah.
Highly underrated, no doubt, because he was at North Dakota State. He wasn't at Alabama, and he deserves more recognition for sure. But I mean, he did have a bad game this year in the one game he played in that one showcase game. But he's still pretty good. I could see him being a star in the NFL Pro Bowl or possibly even his first year with the Panthers if Bridgewater they battle for the job in preseason and then first few weeks and then Lance takes over.
Yeah, okay. Trey Lance, Carolina's as much as I love Teddy, they're in need of a quarterback. Teddy just couldn't he didn't get the job done for them. Ever since Cam Newton, had this whole thing going on where he didn't play and injured, they haven't really been able to get a solid quarterback to try and get them back into playoff contention. But so basically, I don't know how to put it, but it's in a way you could kind of compare him to a Cam Newton type player because Cam Newton is a bigger quarterback. Not small, like Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, or other players, but he definitely has the speed, and if he wants to, he can be really good. So I think Trey Lance you can draw easy comparisons to him. Okay.
So that's why I think he'd be a great fit in Carolina under Matt Rule. So Panthers would have definitely a good future with him.
Yes. So now we have with the 9th pick in the NFL mock draft, we have the Denver Broncos selecting Patrick Surtain II. So
Surtain, I'm not sure, but Definitely a good pick.
Yeah, he was a really great player in college. Coming out of Alabama. Alabama is just always produces pretty good NFL players. And Denver really, Denver really needs a defensive player who's really great. Von Miller has been kind of declining in recent years, and it's just they have to re-sign Justin Simmons. They really need they need to build up their defense more, and this could be a really great fit for them to do that.
I think it'd be perfect. Obviously, they a few days ago just got Kyle Fuller, and if you add him with Surtain, Fuller, and Simmons, that's a trio of elite defensive players in the secondary. So, I wouldn't say there's too much. Obviously, stat line, he had 111 total tackles, which is really good for Alabama, and his 4 interceptions. And he won Defensive SEC Player of the Year this year. So that's definitely a good award with the SEC producing a lot of players. So, Patrick Surtain, his dad played. I think he's a future NFL star.
So now we with the 10th pick, and this is probably the last one we're gonna go over in depth. And the Dallas Cowboys select Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. It's not even a question that they're gonna take this guy unless he gets picked before. Then Dallas's defense was really lacking last year, and to get this addition to their team would be, with Dak coming back, re-signing him.
Totally change.
It would change. Yeah, it would change everything pretty much. Caleb was. I don't know. Caleb, he opted out this year because of COVID, but he's really great at his coverage skills are amazing.
And unlike all these good corners, possesses the speed to get past receivers, and I'd say his biggest talents for everyone. His biggest strength would be he can almost sense what the receivers can doing, and he makes the jump, and the receiver doesn't even know what happened.
So not too much to say about him, but that's our top 10 picks. Now moving on, we have our 11 through 20. You'll notice Devontae Smith wasn't in the top 10, and we think he's going to go 11th to the Giants. We just think this because
Giants just last few days from filming this signed Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay isn't enough. You have Kenny Golladay, Darius Slayton, and Sterling Shepard. Slayton is great, but he battles injuries constantly. That just leaves you with Shepard and Golladay. If you want another receiver, which I think would be a great move, I think you should really, really think about taking Devontae Smith.
Yes. So then
we'll go to our next pick, and that is J.C. Horn.
Also, just a top one of the best defensive backs in college football last year at Carolina, and
it was great.
Yeah.
South Carolina had a great player, so I definitely think he'll be a good NFL player for the Niners.
Yeah. So next, let's just blow through these real quick. We have Micah Parsons to the Chargers, Rashawn Slater to my Vikings, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Patriot to the Patriots. We talked about him a little bit. He was one of our top 10 prospects. Tyson Campbell to the Cardinals, Aziz Ojulari, these names are hard to pronounce, Raiders, Gregory Rosua to the Dolphins, Elijah Vera Tucker to the Washington football team, and Samuel Cosme to the Bears. And yeah, not too much to say about these guys, just we don't want to make this, if we did this, the top, went in depth on all these players, this video would be like an hour long. We don't want that to happen, so
yeah, so
get on to
those are those. We'll go to our 21 through 30 picks. You'll see here the Packers at 29, but 21st pick, I see the Colts taking Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech as a lineman. They need it. And then the next 3 picks, Davion Nixon to the Titans, best defensive tackle in college football this year, I'd say, in the draft. And next pick, 23, Asante Samuel Jr. to the Jets. His father, obviously you recognize the name, was a great NFL player. And he was a stud at Florida State, locking down. So, and then our next pick, this would be the debatable pick. I'll go back to this in a second, but Najee Harris to the Steelers. And then 25 and 26, we got Trevon Moehrig to the Jaguars and Zaven Collins to the Browns. And Zaven Collins, other than Owusu Koramoah and Parsons, he's the best linebacker in the draft. And I'd say top 5 defensive player in the draft. But back to Najee Harris, I think the Steelers struggled their offense. James Conner isn't enough, and he might be leaving. Not sure that a contract is official yet, but if he's gone, the Steelers don't have a good running back. Harris was insane this year.
Najee Harris.
And if you don't want Harris, go take ETN, but Harris would be the more suitable pick.
Yeah, the Steelers are kind of lacking at the running back position. Najee Harris would be a great pick for them.
Yeah, and then we got the next pick, Liam Eichenberg, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, from Notre Dame to the Ravens. Jason Owa next to the Saints. And then 29th, the Packers. I say they take Alex Leatherwood from Alabama, a really good O-lineman. And
by the way, since we were just talking about college football, Drew's a Notre Dame fan. I am not really a fan of anyone. I just watch the game.
Yeah, so that's why I get enthusiastic about all Notre Dame players.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then we got with the 30th pick to round up this section, we got the Bills taking Aaron Robinson. But more on Packers, we need an O-lineman. I think you can take a receiver based on the receivers in the draft already taken. If you look at the next few, Kadarius Toney, Rashad Bateman, if you really want a receiver, go ahead, take them. I don't personally want you to, but if you're gonna do that, I say go all out for offensive line and receivers. Don't go anywhere defense, because you could take this route where you go O-lineman, play it safe, get a few linebackers, and then maybe one receiver in like the 6th round.
Okay, so lastly, last couple, there's, Aaron Robinson to the Bills, and then these last 2 are going to be Jalen Mayfield
to the Kansas City Chiefs,
and Christian Barmore to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Super Bowl champions. So that's going to be, not going to really talk about these guys.
But definitely, I think, a reasonable mock draft, if I do say so myself. But because we'll eventually do possibly one again, there may be some things that change based on free agency. Because a team signs like the player we predicted they'd draft, then it would definitely change. But
yeah,
I still think it's a great draft.
Yeah, so that's going to be it for this video. It's been a fun one. Mock draft is coming up in the NFL. Gotta get on it. There could be a mock draft 2.0 in the future. We don't know. And get ready for on Thursday.
Yeah,
Actually, we might post on either Thursday or Friday. we either will talk about what we think is going to happen in this trade deadline, because NBA trade deadline is on Thursday, if you didn't know.
Or we'll react to it.
Yes. So, thanks for watching.
Yeah,
Popping up on screen, you'll probably see it right now, is our most recent video. And under that, which would be, what was our most recent, Drew? It was just kind of a recap of everything that happened.
Yeah, recap. Yeah, definitely. Yes, recap.
And then we had season 1. This is our playlist of all of our episodes so far. And thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new. And enjoy the content. And see ya.
See ya.